Hello, crafty friends. This is Jen, and thank you for joining me today. Happy Valentine's Day. I have a fun easel card idea using Spellbinders Large Die of the Month for January 2025. To start, I created my A2 size card base, and I folded it at 5.5 and 2 1/4 to create the easel card. And then I'm just going to use my bone folder to make a good crisp fold on both of those seams. And then I'm just going to set this aside. So for this card, I did something a little different. I didn't color any of my die cuts. This was a hard one for me because I usually do. But what I did do was double up the larger flowers so that they would pop out a little more than the other flowers and the leaves in the background. So for this, this die set is called the Botanical Atrium. And like I said, this was the large die of the month for January 2025. Unfortunately, it takes a while for it to get to my house. So usually I end up getting these die sets after January or the month that they're in. But still, they make beautiful cards, and that's the main thing. And when I seen this, I thought it would make a great easel card. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm just going to quickly put these flowers together. Okay, so now I have all my flowers put together, and I'm just going to decide where I'm going to put my leaves and my flowers. And I'm just trying to come up with a design to use for this background. And this is, I think, the part that I like best about these sort of cards with flowers and things, is that you can really do it any way you want. You can put the leaves wherever you want. You can put the flowers, you can arrange them in different ways. So it gives you a chance to be really creative. And I didn't want to just follow what was on the back of the cardboard that came with the die set. I wanted to kind of come up with my own idea. But this was such a pretty die set. Like, I just love the flowers, and I love the little atrium that it comes with, and it's definitely a die set that will probably get a lot of use for Mother's Day cards or birthday cards. The theme for my card this time was a friendship card. So I wanted to make this for a crafty friend of mine, and that's what I used it for. So I've kind of come up with a plan, and now I'm going to start gluing down all my little die cuts. I use LINECO neutral pH adhesive and a fine tip bottle, and I will link where you can get those in the description box below. So I'm just putting some glue onto the backs of my die cuts, and I'm going to be gluing these all down. So I did die cut 2 of the atrium cages from heavyweight black cardstock, and I'm just gluing these together to give the cards some dimension. Now, I did use LINECO neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle, and even though it is a fine tip bottle, it was still a little difficult to glue all these tiny little lines and not have the glue dry before I was finished. So I think the next time I use this, I'll be using the double-sided adhesive 5x5 or 6x6 sheets, and then die cut it from that. And then that way I can just easily peel it off and then stick them together. And then once I had them both together, then I glued them on top of my floral arrangement. I'm just removing a little bit of the glue, but the glue does dry clear, so it's not, I didn't have to do a lot of cleanup. And then I'm just going to add a layer of glue onto the back, and then just press that down onto my floral arrangement. This was a really beautiful die set. I was very excited to get this for the large die of the month. Even the small die of the month was beautiful. It was a set to make a dragonfly, which I can't wait to use. So maybe I'll have to make that into a future video. So I'm just, again, going over all of the fine lines with the glue. Trying to make sure that I just use a very thin amount. This is the best part about the fine tip bottle, is that, you know, you can squeeze it a little harder, but if you just want thin lines, you can lighten up your hold and you do get that nice thin line of glue. Now, at first I thought that it just evened up with the background, but I realized that it didn't, so I was just maneuvering it around. And then I used my hands to push it down so that I would get the edges at least attached to the blue background of the card. Now the neat part is with this is you could make this into a card. You could cut another backing and then score a line and then make it just the atrium, the botanical atrium as the entire card, which would be a neat idea. But I decided to use my hot foil glimmer machine, and I used the dual lines rectangles. And I used some pretty holographic foil that I hadn't used yet. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to use this. It should make it look pretty. Now I don't have a whole lot of room in my office, and I only have one holder for my camera, so I don't actually show using the hot foil glimmer machine. If that's something that you would like to see, let me know, and I can get that on film as well. So what I do is I figure out where I'm going to place my rectangle, and then I place a piece of removable tape to the top, and I just give that a good press down. Now I did end up having to pick it up and then maneuvering it around again, but then once I have it in place, I can tape it to the back of my card base. And I just get another piece of tape ready to go, and I scoop my foil up there. And what I ended up doing was trimming the foil at the bottom so that I could see that I'm getting the rectangle in the right position. And I could hold it up because I have a great big window in front of my desk, and then I could see that I had it in the right place. So I have it foiled on, and I use that little magnetic tool to remove the plate off of the hot machine. And now I'm just removing the tape and then taking off the foil, and it left a beautiful dual line mark. It did leave a little excess, so I have a sand eraser that I like to use to just erase the little bit of extra. And then we are all set. So I'm just figuring out where I'm going to place that, and then I'm going to glue that down. And I'm making sure I use a lot of glue because it did bend a little bit and I wanted it nice and flat. So I added the little extra glue and then placed it down. And I'm adding 2 craft blocks so it has a little extra weight to it. And now I can add it to my card base. So for this, I only have to glue that bottom flap. And then I just make sure that I have it in the proper placement, and then I can push down on the bottom of the card. And then that will make the easel. So we have that in place. I'm trying to figure out whereabouts I want it to sit when you pop it up. And I'm going to make another background using the same foil plate and foil for the inside of the card. And I'm just trimming off another piece of foil. I did trim it a little too small and then had to kind of rearrange it, but I did manage to get it. And then I'm just going to place that onto my glimmer machine. I'm also using YANA's Special Sentiments glimmer plate and some black foil for this one. And I'm going to make a little sentiment to go onto the front of my card. And that set comes with die cuts to cut out the sentiments. So I just folded it onto a piece of cardstock and then I used the die cut to die cut the sentiment out. And I thought, you know what, this time I think it looks good in the center. And I have my area ready to go for my sentiment, or for my inside sentiment. And for that, I decided to trim 2 pieces of heavy black cardstock, just under 1 inch, and I trimmed them to the same size as my blue background piece. And I'm using this My Favorite Things More Essential Sentiments stamp set, and I just stamped I Am Totally Grateful. I used white embossing powder, and I also used Simon Says Stamps, this really great powder to make sure that you don't get embossing powder everywhere, and I used Versamark ink to ink this up. So I'm just going to apply the embossing powder. And then heat set that. And I cut 2 pieces the same size of the black cardstock because I want to make sure that the front of my card has enough space, or has enough of a stopper to keep it up as an easel card. So I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to place it into my inside card base. And I did decide just to glue everything instead of using double-sided adhesive. And then figure out where I want to put my little stopper there. And then I can just glue that into the card. And then that still gives you enough room to sign the card, but they can display it like an easel. And there we go. So here's our finished card. I really, really liked not coloring in the die cuts this time. This turned out really beautiful. Thank you for joining me today and have a great day.